Hey everyone, Mike Burke here with InsideRealEstatePhotography.com, and I'm here with my friend and owner of Motion City Media, Frank Zrinsky. And in this video, we're going to discuss going from a solo photographer and growing into a full-service real estate photography company with a team. So before we dive into this video, I just want to mention this video is sponsored by Soundstripe. All right, Frank, thank you for joining us and giving us your time today to discuss this topic, which you have personally experienced, so that's awesome.
You got it, Mike. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, of course. We've had Frank on this before a while back, so if you haven't seen that video, just a little bit about our background. Frank and I have known and worked together for, I don't know how many years now, but quite a while.
Probably 6.5, 7 years.
Yeah. His company, Motion City Media, I shoot for still to this day. You know, we're friends, but we have a great working relationship as well, and you know, it's been an awesome ride. Back when I was still like getting off the ground more, like I came on board with Frank and shot for him when he was starting to build his team. You know, we've been on this crazy sort of journey together over the years. So yeah, it's awesome that you're on here because you have a lot of insight, of course, into real estate photography business. So, it's great for everyone to hear what you have to say. So I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, man. It's been a journey. Thanks for being part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you started as a solo shooter. What year was that? And how many shooters do you have working for you, or even employees, because you have more than just shooters working for you today, at this time?
Yeah, we started in 2008, and preceding that, I was actually a realtor from 2004 to 2007, which gave us a lot of insight into the industry, which really helped us launch Motion City Media. We saw that in the visual world, homes were not being represented at their highest level. Agents were going with like Motorola Razr phones, not leading tech whatsoever, and it's the largest investment of somebody's life, and you can't represent that with a cell phone photo in 2008, nor today. So truly, the company we work with treated every home as peers, and that's the mindset we brought to Motion City Media, to always represent the home properly and make the agent the most money so the seller makes the most money. So it really it lifts up the team that you work with, and we're part of their success. So in 2008, we started Motion City Media. I went back to school for 4 months. It was called the STAR program, where they sent you as an entrepreneur back to college to start the business, which I thought was awesome. I was on unemployment at the time. And we wrote up a business plan. We started in 2008. And the first 7 years, it was just me, just shooting every home, answering every service call, responding to every text, sweating a lot. It was a lot. There was 15.5-hour days, 6.5 days a week. Loved every second of it because we knew we were building towards something. And then about 7 years ago, we brought on our first photographer. His name is Drew, amazing guy, lives out in Los Angeles now. And then Mike was actually the second photographer we worked with, and boy, was that nerve-wracking, right? Because Mike had a day career at the time. So when somebody's leaving their day career, you got to make sure you have enough photo shoots to give them. So that is the trickiest part, which I'll go into later, is going from one person to working with the team, and especially. You got to have bandwidth. You got to be able to have photo sessions to offer them so they can stay busy and also build their business, and also make sure we get all the bills paid. First 6 years or so with Motion City Media, I worked a full-time career in addition to doing this. Got to keep the mortgage paid, right? Everybody always thinks it just happens quickly, when things always take longer than we think. And now we started August of 2008. Now we just very grateful for it. We have an entire team. We have 7 employees, and we work with 22 photographers across the state of New Jersey and a little bit of Pennsylvania. Thank you, Stephen. And we stretch a little bit up into New York as well. So now we're about 13 years, and we work with almost a little over 3,300 agents. So it's all about like the organic growth and just doing what's best for their business as we grow together.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can you talk a little bit about like the roles of the 7 employees that aren't photographers? Like, what kind of stuff are they doing?
Sure. That role is a client service specialist, and of course it also, there's roles that go up from there as well that we'd like to get everybody to grow into. So client service specialists, they respond to texts, they crop the photos, they check for color accuracy. We don't outsource our service. That's so important. Like when somebody calls us, we want them to call us. We pick up the phone, we say hi, we respond genuinely from a text from Asbury Park, New Jersey. We learn a lot from what our competitors do right and wrong, and there's really no right or wrong answer, just what fits our culture, and our culture is service every moment. With service comes a great product, so they kind of work well with each other. If you're just putting out great photos and don't have that service to back it up, you might do pretty well, sure, but everything is all about longevity. And one other separator is we're open 7 days a week, most days from 8 until 8 p.m. So if somebody gets a listing on a Saturday night, we often can respond and shoot it on Sunday or Monday. So the key really is being available for your clients, and like our photographers, I feel, are successful also because they work so hard creating the visuals. That's why we have a team inside to support them, right? The last thing you want is a photographer photographing homes 10 hours a day and then having to respond to customer service calls and emails and texts. So we want to reduce and eliminate variables as we grow, and having happy, rested photographers is very important. And having just an internal team people can connect with, it's amazing, and our clients come back because of our awesome team. Like they love our photos, but they love our team even more. And that's one thing that we've also learned. A lot of companies, which again, it works differently for everybody, they force people to book on a website, they have to book via text. We want to have a genuine conversation, right? Because then often they're going to expose clues of like what they love, or they might be like, hey, you know what? At the last shoot, I didn't quite love the color, and can we talk about that? And you're never going to get that if you're not encouraging them to call and actually have a genuine conversation with them. So both roles are equally as important, the visual creators and the ones that work with the visuals to deliver to our clients. So it's very symbiotic, and it's quite amazing how the team, they just lift each other up. Often there's a disconnect between sales and service. With us, we work very closely to make sure that does not happen here.
That's something I've definitely learned from you. Like, and we all know service is important and all, but like you really showed me like how to go above and beyond for your clients, and like a valuable lesson that I learned from you that I appreciate. And,
thank you, Mike. You teach us a lot too.
By the way, this man is just an extraordinary human being. So he's one of the nicest people in the world. So
Thank you,
goes
Mike.
for saying. And everyone that works for Motion City Media too everyone's awesome. It's just a great group of people. So
thank you, man.
And that's just a reflection, I think, of you too. So.
Thank you, man. Kindness is everything. Like, it's all about just being kind to our clients and kind to each other. I always thank my parents. My dad's a social worker. My mom's a teacher. Right, that's kind of where I learned that part of growing the business. And being very honest, when somebody applies to work with us, whether it's an independent contractor or business as a photographer, or an internal employee, not worried about their resume. I'm very, very, very in tune to like, are they smiling a lot? How are they treating us? You ask them how their day is. How are they responding? Are they being genuine? And just, it really comes down to, are they kind, right? All of our skill sets, photography, videography, drone, internal client service specialist and beyond, those are all learnable skills. But like, I feel that a lot of that stuff is built into you, right? Like, we can't teach somebody to be nice and kind. So that is the biggest part of our success. And that is also why we don't market or advertise. All of our growth is organic. Usually during the week, on weekdays, we're onboarding 3 to 5 new clients a day. And our clients are bringing us so much of that business by the behind the scenes Instagram stuff, just like having a great shoot with Mike Burke today, right? Like, and then we post it up and then other agents reshare it. And we actually have several realtors that work with us that force other realtors to work with us. They're like, hey, these guys are the resource, their team's amazing, you surely give them a call. So like, we grow organically by being kind and just being accountable.
So what point was it that you were like, man, I need to hire somebody else?
Yeah, so about a year and a half before that is when I got laid off from my day career. So I was like all in. At one point I was actually gonna give up the business. I was just gonna do it on the weekends because I just couldn't make the numbers work, right? And I had an awesome man, Rob, he was a director of mine at an old company. And he's like, nope, he's like, we're gonna work with you, don't worry about a thing. And they actually got me a pay raise and gave me flexible hours. So I'm like, all right, cool. I was gonna actually teach my photographers how to use the camera, and then I was just gonna do all the editing and then do photo shoots on the weekend. And then Rob's like, no, Frank, that's not gonna be your story. I'm like, okay, thank you. So then a year and a half later, got laid off. So that actually really, really helped out in the future. So the first 7 years or so when it was just me, I truly maxed out, man. Like, my batteries just ran out. I was loving every second of it. Probably pushing 35, 40 shoots, just me in a week. And that's including editing, delivery, customer service. A rain day back then was just like logistics,
a godsend.
Wild scene. Yeah, no, because then you had 8 shoots in a day or 7 shoots, and it's like, how am I gonna do 16 shoots the next day? So I had a lot of very nice understanding clients. I had limiting beliefs. I'm like, they're never gonna accept anybody but me. So once we hit like that 7-ish year mark, I was on a rooftop of a restaurant nearby at the beer garden, and somebody I have a lot of respect for, who was a broker owner, was just like, you need to expand. Like, she basically was like, this has to happen. I wasn't well, right? Like, I was incredibly happy as always. I was speaking slow. Like, I legit couldn't speak at the same pace I used to. I was just completely exhausted, right? Every time I hung out with my friends, I didn't know about what to talk about other than couch photography and like positioning like frames for real estate compositions. So I had no idea what was going on in the outside world. Everything was just real estate photography and working towards what we were building. And that's when we connected with our first person at a local coffee shop. His name is Drew. Absolute dream. Couldn't speak more highly of him. He was our first photographer, and he helped grow the business with us. And he was a direct representation of me. Don't look for the best photographer. Look for somebody that aligns with your values, your personality, and your culture. So Drew was just so kind, just a good guy, willingness to learn, and just work hard, right? And he had a production company already at the time. I think it was Drew Jersey Productions. Might be. I always got them mixed up. I always reverse the words. And Drew, I was just like, hey man, I've got 7 shoots scheduled tomorrow. Do you want to follow me and learn what we're doing? Sure. So we got those all done within a week or two. We got him ready, and boy, was that nerve-wracking. Like, you know, you send somebody out to represent your brand, and you just want to make sure that we're all doing things consistently. And again, having a consistent experience for the clients is everything, because now they're hiring Motion City Media and not Frank, right? And that is really tough at the beginning. But what I learned, it just works so well, and it's the right thing to do for the clients. Show up at all those initial photo sessions, right? Like, if Drew has 6 shoots on his first day and his second day, and they're all with new clients, if you're personally available, go there, be like, hey, I want you to meet Drew. Drew's taking wild shots. He's actually taking several that are even nicer than me. Like, I can't wait for you to see his work. So then you're in the house hanging out with the realtor. They're giving you all this valuable information about their business growth. They're like, wow, this is nice. Like, Drew's shooting and we're having a conversation. I'm like, this is awesome. And, you know, in a few weeks, months, when I'm in the studio, we could always have these conversations. It adds value to both of us. And then what really ended up happening was a lot of our agents grew into teams, and they had to have 2 or 3 homes shot at the exact same time. So like, whoa, great that you're hiring Drew, because now we have multiple photo shoots at the same time with Motion City Media. So then it started growing. I was also doing almost all of the photo sessions along with Drew. And then a little after that, about the same time, we hired Maddie, who was our studio manager at that time, and then director of operations. We hired Maddie, and then right around that time, one of our friends, Carrie, connected us with Mike Burke. She's like, hey, Frank, Mike does real estate photography. I'm like, nobody does real estate photography. She's like, Mike does. So I started a conversation with Mike. We kind of like felt each other out, like, what gear do you shoot with? And then I think we did some homes together, right? Like, I was showing you like how we do things. You were showing me how you do things. Mike shot not on a Sony, and he swore he would never switch, as did many other photographers that started working with us. And now just about everybody shoots Sony because it just works, and it works well.
That was in the earlier days of Sony.
Yeah, totally. That's when the A7 ones didn't even have a manual setting for a remote of 2 seconds. You had to wait for the A7 IIs to even do HDR bracketed photography. And that's how it all came together, right? So having a manager run the business, let Mike, Drew, and myself go out and do all the photo sessions. And that really is like, that gets you from 1 to 2 or 3, and then it gets, and we'll lead into it, then it gets even more wild after that. But truly the way to go from 1 to a second person is be present, go in those photo sessions with your new team members. It makes your clients feel absolutely incredible. And then before you know it, people don't even know your name. They're like, oh, I'm hiring Motion City Media, please send Mike, he does amazing work. And that really is it. You want it to be about everybody else on the team and your clients, not about you, right? Just like right now we're on Inside Real Estate Photography. If this was called like Michael Burke's photography, right? Like it might not have the same impact as you're going a brand, which is great. And even your business, Burke Multimedia, that is presence. It's something that somebody wants to be a part of. So that's why we always never recommend naming your business if you want to grow your full name LLC, right? It's just hard to create a culture and a brand around somebody else's name, because then it never feels about everybody doing it together. So whatever words you add to your name or as an independent company name, just make sure it's something that people want to be a part of.
Right, yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Something to think about if you're starting, your real estate photography company, for future proofing it or whatever, if you want to expand one day. A thing you mentioned, I think, which was part of like your motivation to needing to hire somebody, was that like, I know you mentioned to me like when it was just you, it was like people were calling you to book shoots, and you're like, I can't do it like until like 7-8 days out, like which then becomes a real issue, because then those people are like, well, I need to do this in the next day or two, so I'm gonna have to call somebody else or whatever. So I think that's a natural point for a lot of people. Like when they get to that point, like I know I experience it too. Like I'm starting to experience it a little bit now.
Yeah.
With my own company, I've always been just me. As I mean, a lot of you that watch these videos know. Will I ever hire somebody else? I don't know, but I do have, like, especially right now, it's like the busy season. We're in the spring, and like there's times now like where I'm experiencing that problem where it's like, just last week I was like, my whole week was pretty much booked up, and I was like, and people were like, I was like, I can't, I don't have any, there's nowhere to put it, you know what I mean? It's like you amaze yourself on where you can squeeze stuff in sometimes though. Totally. It's like at some point you need extra help. I mean, but then comes the slower season where it's like, that's when it's great to also be working with a company like Frank's, because it's like, if I get slow in my own business, it's like they throw shoots at me, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, all right, I can fill up my schedule, when things get a little slower or whatever. So it's great, if you do have a company in your area that you can work with, of course you want to make sure that, it's a symbiotic sort of relationship.
From the beginning, we set it up so all of our independent contractors who own their own businesses and are insured, right? Whatever the rules and laws on your state, make sure you're following them. So nobody that does photos for Motion City Media is just a person, right? Everybody is their own business with business insurance, operating a business. That is so key for many reasons, not just compliance, but it's so important because we want their business to grow too. One of the biggest things that we do differently, and I feel this is so important, everything connects to real estate. You're making genuine relationships. When the team of independent contractors and businesses that we work with get offered anything outside of real estate, whether it's wedding photography, prom photos, family sessions, Motion City Media takes 0%, right? Like we want their business to flourish, and their business can't flourish if they're not actually a business. And we always do help each other out. There's always interesting scenes where it's like, hey Mike, one of our photographers is sick. Could you cover a few shoots today? Or vice versa. Say Mike's company gets a little bit busy. We just work with each other. One of our favorite people, Lucy, who's a high-level position at one of our competitors, she always says, there's enough sand in the sandbox for everybody, right? It's never about like the little pennies. It's like we could always do great things together, no matter what that looks like, right? Like at some point, like what I see with Mike, like Mike might only be doing high-end video sessions with us in the future, right? It doesn't matter because it all connects back together. Friends from 20 years ago are clients now, and we'll probably work with each other for a lifetime. We just don't know what that looks like and at what capacity yet. But it's all about lifting each other up, right? Like that is truly the way to success. Everything, the way that I live is how you do one thing is how you do everything. And growth for business is all reputation and credibility, right? Doesn't matter how much you market or advertise or how many Google 5 stars you have. It's all your reputation, and I love to share in real estate the little behind the scenes. They meet once a week and talk about all the vendors that they have a great relationship with, and then all the ones that they do not. So we have some realtors that are like, oh, somebody was talking not so great about you guys in the company meeting, and now we're like walking on ice a little bit, like, oh, like, should we still Motion City Media? So it's so important to always represent your business at the highest level. Like we really shy away from like cancellation fees and things like that, because you can lose a lifetime client over trying to take $35. Like we get the point of it because you want to discourage a last minute cancellation. Our solution is we just give the photographer a cancellation fee and we just eat it, simply because I care much more about a 10-year relationship than trying to cover a very minor loss. So, and they will tell somebody like, hey, my seller canceled last minute and Motion City threw a fee on us, right? We don't want that to be our story. We want it to be like, not only did they not charge me a fee, they had something available the next day to come out when everything was okay. So business growth, if you want long-term sustainability, just be kind and just be good to your clients, because agents, they all speak with each other and they will always say who's wowing and who is like not getting it done. So that is so key. Always be good to them. Look at the long-term growth. Like we always say to our agents, we're an extension of your brand, and we mean it, right? Like if our agent is too busy, just like sometimes we get too busy, many of the photo sessions, the agent is not even there. We just go there, we shoot directly with the seller, right? And it's crazy, like the feedback we get from the seller or the agent. Just we have kind people. We all work so well with each other, and that feedback that's good and genuine is what keeps getting us more listings to shoot. That's how it all connects together. You be nice, and we want to be the easiest part of the transaction, right? Because agents and agencies, it's complicated, right? They're dealing with tax liens and divorce situations and craziness. We want to be like the easiest part of every transaction with every agent.
Again, that's part of that like above and beyond sort of mentality that, and then I've really like, you know, taken from working with you, and you know, it's so hugely important. I've mentioned a lot of what you just said, like on other videos on this channel, for sure. So what are some of the biggest challenges managing a whole team of photographers? I imagine scheduling has got to be up there.
Yeah, scheduling is pretty crazy in regards to like logistics, but that is the main reason why we have our internal team, right? It's have a system and a process for everything. We have just centralized communication. When our clients text one number, it hits 17 devices at once, so we can all reply. So whoever needs to respond can look at it and then they respond. So it's a very consistent communication experience. You know what, like I didn't go to school to be a CEO or, you know, any of that stuff, right? Like it's just connect with your team and just be good to them, like see what's going on, right? Like, so skills are just learned and applied, but truly you want to be like, hey, what's going on today? Or is something going on that we can help with, right? And it's like, hey, you know what, why don't you just take a few hours? Like we're good right now. So the key really is like just being good to your team and just understanding like, you know, we're all just human beings that have ups and downs and somewhere in the middle, right? And then just comes back to what we spoke about before, like the more you lift each other up, it kind of solves a lot of those variables of the management part of it. It's just, I feel one of the big things to do is give people opportunity that they can earn and grow into. Like several team members, like they work up, or like they're gonna also go higher in their careers. And as we're expanding and growing, there's gonna be many positions across the board, potentially in like other markets, right? So it's you wanna make sure that like somebody isn't hired as an admin. I notice a lot of like competitors fall into that trap. They'll hire an admin position at $12.50 an hour. Is that gonna really represent your brand at the highest level, right? So actually offer careers, offer when it makes sense, full-time positions. When somebody's part-time, just make sure it's flexible enough that it works. And one unique thing that we do that just works wildly well, almost half of our internal team also does photography on the outside, right? So they're a hybrid position. So they're part-time employees with Motion City Media, and then they have their independent business for when they're shooting photography. So that really helps them grow as well. They get to have more meaningful conversations on the phone with clients. It's like, oh, Joyce, like, didn't you just shoot a house for me yesterday? And she's like, yeah. She's like, hi, now I'm helping deliver your photos and crop them. So that's the biggest thing. And it's as you grow, you have to have like that forward thinking of like how busy we'll be next year. Like that is, no matter how well you planned, you end up being busier than what you planned for, right? So when that happens, we don't just say, we've made our hiring decision for the year. For example, like last year, somebody amazing came into Motion City Media, Nick Marrero. He's our Director of Client Success and Innovation. Just a big part of all of our success and growing with our team and being like a teacher to guide our agents to also growing their business and their brands, right? Like that is also where agents struggle, is they might not understand certain elements of like, what really is a good video? How do I post this on TikTok? Like something we just started now that Nick developed is now we're able to shoot all of our videos in vertical, right? So now we can deliver native videos in something that's more accepting for apps like Reels and Instagram and for TikTok. So you can't just hang out, like you have to grow. So when that comes back to staffing and management, it all connects together. So your team needs to grow at the pace that your business is growing as well, right? We have days that it's like, I'll look and like somebody worked 11 hours. I'm like, whoa, like you got to get ahead of this. And it's never an instant switch that you could flip. So what I've been taught is always have somebody on your bench, right? Like even if you think you're planned properly, whether like you and the bank teller connected or you had a great service experience at another company, kind of look at everything like an interview, right? Like, oh, whoa, I might want to work with you in the future. And that's how we built so many of our people. Again, bringing it back to just most of the people we hired were friends or acquaintances before we hired them. And we were just hanging out like, whoa, this person is so unbelievably nice. Like Maddie, I'd always meet her at the coffee shop, endless smiles. Bernadette, like I'd go into a local restaurant she worked at. She'd like do a little dance when I walked in and we'd just hang out and have fun. Like I'm like, all right, we're gonna probably offer Bernadette like a position soon, right? It's you know, Nick feels like he's worked for Motion City Media for 4.5 years and he's only been working with us for barely 10 months. We did a little work together in a different capacity, but it's all, I live by this attraction, not promotion, right? We don't want to promote to hire, right? Like we want to attract the right people in.
So how has your role in the company evolved over the years, and what's your like day-to-day like now? How much, if any, photography are you doing?
It's changed quite dramatically. There's still 15-hour days, but if I go on a trip for a week, everything runs the same, whether I'm here or whether I'm not, because of our team and the system and the process for everything. Generally speaking, I'm not taking photo sessions right now, not that I don't want to, but when you're away, then that's 90 minutes of something else sliding. So you need to be accountable, but our team represents us at the highest level. Like they're definitely taking better photos than I'm taking right now. So it's truly not having those limiting beliefs for growth. Your team's gonna do it as good as you, if not better than you. Day to day, it's just mostly just thinking about the future and where we're growing and where we're mapping things out, developing systems and processes. We probably have like 9 different systems that don't speak with each other to complete a successful photo session. So it gets a little crazy with that and perfecting that process. One thing that really took a tremendous amount of time, which is where probably 6 months went into last year, was growing out like a centralized editing team. It's very important, no matter what photographer you're setting to represent your business, the agents need to get a consistent deliverable of visuals back the next day, right? So you can't have Mike, who might be the most all-star photographer, who might not be the best. He's a great photo editor, but maybe Mike's not a photo editor at your level, right? So have a centralized editing team that you teach the standards to. Do not ever bring on an editing team where you're just gonna follow their standards, right? Like it needs to be a centralized team that exceeds what you're looking for, and that's a process. That was like 6 months of last year was growing out a centralized editing team. And when you do that, your photographers, all they need to do at the end of the day is upload the photos and give special instructions. And then the next morning or the next evening when they're delivering the photos, everybody's photos have that same light, airy, masked-in windows look and feel, instead of being like, whoa, why do Mike's photos look so different than Chad's or Howie's? We have to eliminate that variable, right? Like if you're the same business, it's just like you go to McDonald's. That cheeseburger has to look and taste the exact same, no matter which one you're going to. It's the exact same thing. You're really, as an independent photographer, it is almost like feeling like you're running an independent business, but you're not, right? So your photographers shoot at their highest standards, and then we make sure the editing team hits those standards. So the final deliverable is like, whoa, I'm in love with everybody there. And that really is the key. We always say request whoever you want, and we want to fulfill that. But if somebody's, for example, booked up for the week, we want to make sure that they're going to have a very similar experience with somebody else's own artistic approach, but still have that same consistent service and the same final deliverables.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency is like the hallmark of any successful business, for sure, and that's such an important thing. And that's definitely going to be a video that I make in the near future. Yeah, we forgot to mention too, like we're sitting in Motion City Media studio.
Yes.
So this is premises that you have here in Asbury Park, and it's an awesome space. I'm sure people are curious. So like, can you talk a little bit about like, you know, what you use this space for and whatnot?
Totally, yeah. Mike, that's like an awesome thing to bring up for the main reason. That was one of the main reasons that I didn't mention before as why we are growing a successful team together. One, we let our photographers use this at no charge, right? So if a photographer has a family portrait session they're doing their own headshots, we just let them use our studio. We don't charge them for it. Again, it helps them grow their businesses while they're helping grow our business through their photography sessions. So the main reason is to have a community hub point. That's so important. We have agencies that host off-site real estate meetings here. We do headshots of agents and teams. We create videos for bumpers at the beginning and end of their real estate videos. So a good business, I feel, always does need a brick and mortar where somebody can walk in, shake your hand, say hi, and feel comfortable. We even offer this at no charge to our agents if they want to host events here or have like an offsite to help land a listing, so that this way the seller's not in their living room. This way it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. They go, hey, this is the visual company we're going to be hiring to do your photography. And one thing that this also connects to, in addition to how much the studio lets us be full service, before we were full service, we were losing clients or limiting our clients' growth because, for example, at the beginning, we weren't offering drone. We weren't doing video walkthroughs. We weren't doing floor plans, right? Never be stuck as just a photography company. The best path forward to success is be full service across the board and help your agents out. If they have trouble unzipping a file, don't get frustrated with them. Ask them what computer they have or offer to upload them for them, right? Like, they're really good at selling real estate. They might not understand the tech the way that we do. So always be on their team. And what's also important, we all have frustrated clients sometimes, and we want to hear that. We want to hear what's going on. That's the only way we learn and we grow. And it's so very important to remember the realtor's paying us, but the real client is the seller, right? So if a realtor is like frustrated about a color tone or missing angle, that often might be the seller that proofed the photos like, hey, they might not have seen it, but I have a gorgeous master bedroom closet, right? So can you get the photographer back out there? Don't charge them. Be like, hey, you know what? That's on us. We're going to come right back out there. And by the way, we're going to give you a complimentary virtual twilight just to make your listing stand out a little bit further. Always go above and beyond. It's always under promise, over deliver, right? That is what we always strive for. It's so important that you have two clients in every transaction, and very rarely do you get to hear the seller's feedback, and it's often just coming right from the realtor. And again, I'm taught by people smarter than me. Always believe this. Feedback is always a gift. Bad feedback is even a better gift. We had a time 3.5, 4 years ago, we had several frustrated clients because our editing process was a little old. It felt legacy. Like, colors weren't accurate, things were washed out. And imagine if they didn't give that feedback to us. We could have lost a brokerage of 90 agents, and they're some of our best agents now. I could have been like, hey, you know what? This is our way. No, it's not about us, it's about them. And we redid the entire process and we learned from it. So it's always key. Don't be afraid of feedback. It's never be ego-driven, always be service-driven.
So where do you see Motion City going from here in the future?
We're just going to keep doing what we're doing, right? It's going to be slow, smart, organic growth. Success leaves clues always, but so does when things do not work out so well. And we've seen some businesses, whether in our industry or not, grow too quickly and start following money instead of success of your clients. And it often does not have longevity when that happens. So we're a touch into Pennsylvania, a touch into New York, most of New Jersey. One zone that we might stretch into would be potentially Florida, only because so many of our agents in our state are also licensed in Florida, and this way we can offer that experience there. We did it once, didn't work out so great. We gotta do things differently, but it was a great learning experience. But we did it very, very slow, and with only 1 or 2 clients to start. You never want to dive into any new metros too quickly. You want to really think it out. For us, we just, like, the biggest thing that I truly am in love with is growing with other businesses and other people. That is everything for us. So we wanted to be able to create opportunity and continuing to create opportunity. Everybody we work with, for the most part, they've got a side project or they've got a business that they're growing, right? And there's nothing more exciting than helping somebody else grow and being part of that success. And it all connects together. Like, say Mike gets too busy and like we don't work with each other in 5 years. I can't even stress to you enough, that could even be a better thing, right? Because then Mike's gonna be like, Frank, like, can we work together with 3 of your videographers? I'm filming some crazy event in like Tijuana, right? Like it always leads to great things. So you really want everybody around you to grow. Same thing with limiting beliefs. Like, you don't want to hold them back, you want to lift them up. The better everybody else around you does, the better you do. It's just a lot of people can't put the other person first. always put everybody else first. Make sure you're physically well, mentally well, and you can be like that leader to train and help, and also be humble enough to still get taught by others. But truly make it all about your team and your agents, and you'll just keep growing organically. Like, we've spent next to nothing to grow. We just do it in other ways. We spend our money on reinvesting in our people and our final products that we deliver, not necessarily flashy ad campaigns or anything like that. We would love to be part of just great things inside our industry as well. Developing like platforms to make being a real estate photographer easier and run your business more efficiently. So we're doing a little bit of that with an awesome business partner. The other thing that we want to do is get into just select markets, but we really want to be working with realtors that might not be working with professionals yet. So many of the agents out there just do not know the value until they experience it. One thing which I didn't mention before, one of the best things you could do is not discount your services, but offer the first photo session at no charge. Let them experience your team and let them experience what it does to for their seller and for how quick the house will sell and the price that it'll sell out. And remember, your agent's sellers will also now be your raving fans. They're gonna be the ones saying, hey, my house was shot by Burke Multimedia or Motion City Media, right? Like, that is who I recommend that you hire. And then all of a sudden your agent starts getting more listings just by you doing an amazing job for the seller. A lot of us overlook that, but that is what happens. Like, they'll be like, hey, this guy Mike shot my house sold in 8 days. Make sure you hire them, and then this is the agent that hired Mike. So that $200, $300, whatever your price points may be for that initial entry, just don't charge them for the first one. Let them experience your business, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this agent's hiring me for 8 homes a month because I gave them 1 session at no charge. That really is also the key for growth. That just makes people trust the product. They have absolutely nothing to lose. All they can do is just gain some really nice photos and very happy clients.
No, and like you're living proof of, like you said, Motion City's you've never advertised at all, right?
Once, several years ago, we sponsored like $100 on Facebook for several videos, but it wasn't to grow Motion City Media. Like, we had a photographer that was living further away than everybody else, so we wanted to get them more photo sessions, but it didn't work, right? It just, nobody knew us out in those areas yet. Like, then once you start getting into those offices, they invite you in to speak, other agents refer you. Organic growth in our industry, I feel, is the best way to do it, and there is such a disconnect from a solo photographer to, I would call us like a regional provider in New Jersey. You can always be nimble and make moves and learn new things. We notice a large disconnect once you go from, say 1 to 25 to once you're 50 and are in like 40 different markets, you lose that local presence, and agents notice that, right? Like, you got to check the weather. What direction does the house face? Hey, look out the window. What's it doing right now, right? Weather plays such a big role in what we do. So when you grow, you don't want to turn into that, go, like we spoke about before, go to that order form. You need to choose this package in your region. People don't want a disconnected experience. They just want it to be seamless. So when you do grow, the large companies also do it really well, but they lose that nimbleness of being able to react to market conditions. Like when we all went through COVID and so many unique things happened that you had to make instant decisions that were well thought out. And when you're a large company with, say, 500 photographers, that's a little tricky to do when it's like, hey, Mike, we're making these adjustments to get through what we're going through right now. Does that work for you, right? Like, you can't have those conversations on a national basis. So when we grow beyond, say, New Jersey, we would explore the idea of having like independent owners in those other states. I do firmly believe like being local in your community, giving back to your community, and offering opportunity to the local community is so much more important than like a central call center or all sorts of centralized services. I think it makes much more sense to be local. Be like, oh, hey, can I have a meeting with the owner? Great, he's available next week. Let's set a time for you to meet with them. When the owner is just a president behind a desk 2,000 miles away, you might not be able to still maintain those same relationships. There's a place for it, and it does make sense, and we have a lot of our friends that work for those national companies, and it's just a different business model. So always build out like a 1, 3, 5, 10 plan. So know where you want to be in 1 year, know where you want to be in 10 years, 3 and 5, right? And then do those things weekly to get where you're going, right? Like one of my mentors, Joe, taught me that. He's like, how many photographers do you want next year? I'm like, 20. He's like, all right, let's drill that down. How many photographers do you have to interview a week to get to that level? It's like, whoa. So it truly is all planning for longevity. If you don't go in with the long-term plan, not only is your success going to trip, but you've got a lot of people that are dependent on you for their careers and their livelihoods as well. So the big takeaway for me in business is it's never about you, it's about everybody else. So truly, when you put them ahead of money and everything, you're going to be a wild success together. And I'm sure Mike can speak on that. They feel it, right? Like when you don't actually genuinely care about your team's success and where they want to be, they're gonna be like, why am I still with this company, right? But when you're working towards the same common goal, it creates lifetime bonds. Like truly, like Mike is like a best friend, and that didn't happen because of business. It did it because of how much we care about each other's success, and that is truly what it's all about. Like we just lift each other up, and then guess what? We all become the resources and the ones to hire, and then both of our businesses do well. It's pretty amazing how that all comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much, man, for taking the time to make this video. And I think there's a wealth of knowledge in there, and so much that everyone could benefit from. Obviously, you've built a successful business from the ground up. Like you said, you're all over New Jersey now. You work with 3,300 agents. I mean, it's just amazing the journey that Motion City Media has gone on, and that's such a reflection of like all these philosophies that you've shared today, and like your business model and your mentality. And it just proves that, like you said, like just going above and beyond, putting people first, all that stuff really goes, far, in any business. I haven't advertised either, and I don't claim to be like in any way like a marketing like genius or know anything about it, to be honest with you. Like I'm pretty inept in that, but yeah, I've just let it go naturally, and whatever, all my clients have been just from somebody telling somebody. And the challenge is, I know a lot of people who watch these videos, I get a lot of comments. It's like, yeah, but how do you get the ball rolling? And that is the real challenge in the beginning, is like getting those first clients. And that's the hardest part of it. But like you were working for a real estate company, you were a realtor, so you had a lot of connections in the beginning, which really, that was a huge launch pad for you.
Absolutely. We actually we had only from that previous real estate company I worked for, that was client one, and then that started leading to other clients, and now several years down the road, as their real estate careers, now they've called us as the resource as well. So that definitely was the launch pad. Truly what really works is what we've talked about, is just being nice and being kind. And they'll invite you to like broker open houses, like they'll invite you to their real estate meetings, because they just want solutions for their agents. And like Mike said about how we've grown and how Mike's company has grown, now Mike is like a coach and a mentor towards other independent photographers as they're growing. So it all connects. Like we're building and lifting up like the real estate photography community. This way our industry is doing better, and it's so important for industry education. It's kind of like when there's like a pizza shop on a street and another pizza shop moves in. The owner could get stressed and nervous about that, but the reality is you're now a pizza destination, right? Like you want to welcome 2 or 3 pizza restaurants, right? Same thing with us. Like the more educated our industry is as a whole, the photographers still using their cell phones are now gonna be like, whoa, not only are my homes represented properly, I'm making more money, and now I'm getting more listings because now they're using professionals. Like that really is the key, right? So you always want even everybody in your own zip code for real estate photography to be doing better, because it truly does all connect. Like we cover each other's shoots sometimes, we bounce industry questions. Like again, when COVID hit, we like bounced advice off of each other and ways to like sustain and support each other's businesses. So you always want everybody in your industry to do well and be properly representing the agents and the sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. The better everyone does, independently, the better the whole industry does. Camaraderie over competition.
I love that. Wow, I've never heard that before. That makes sense, and I love that.
That wins every time.
And then, truly, Mike, like we have so much fun, right? It's like endless fun, happiness. There's of course those high-level moments, but we always go into the plan. We work through it. We come out stronger. But real estate photography is high volume, but low stress, right? You just gotta, manage your personal reactions, never react emotionally, anything business, leave that at home, right? Be like, hey, it's an amazing day to get some real estate photos. I cannot wait to like get these for you and your family, right? Like come in excited, make sure it feels natural and let it be natural. From my first house, Mike, to my 4,000th house that I shot, I always walked in nervous, always care. Never lose that what got you into this, right? Like I was nervous every house because it's the seller's largest asset. I need to represent it properly. So there's never going on autopilot with this, right? Like you need to care about every house, no matter the client, how much business they give you. Always do what's right for them, and your business will always grow naturally and organically. Like always live by treating everyone as a peer, photography team, internal team, friends, everyone. So treat everybody equally. Everybody does wildly well.
Yeah, awesome. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it enjoyable and insightful and helpful. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you again soon on the next one. And thank you again, Frank. You're the man.
You're so welcome, Mike. Thank you for your time.
All right.